substantial next.
This meeting is being recorded.
So under the old regime, the reasons recorded we have to ask for. If they do not give the reasons recorded before the completion of assessment, then the whole assessment itself gets vitiated under the old regime. So you have to ask for the reasons. The moment they first file the return in response to 148, ask for the reasons, find out what is the real nexus between the reasons recorded and income escaping assessment. Once an assessment is reopened, it makes inroads into the whole assessments which has already been done, and therefore care and caution should be taken to find out the reasons. Once the reasons are given under 148, the first step you will have to see is whether the notice has been issued within 4 years or after 4 years. That is, you have to divide the whole reasons into two parts. One is 143.1 and 143.3. Because 143.3 takes a different turn, because under 148 proviso, if the notice has been issued beyond a period of 4 years and the assessment was completed under 143.3, then whether the reason stated is a change of opinion or what it is, or already the records are already there, mere failure on the part of the assessor, the income tax officer, to go into certain aspects will not vitiate the whole assessment proceedings. Whenever you are appearing before an assessing officer in relation to this 143 or assessment proceedings, of course now it is a faceless regime. You know what havoc the faceless regime is taking its toll. In fact, that's totally a separate issue. I do not know where we are going to land, but as far as 148 proceedings are concerned, under the old regime, you have to ask for the reasons recorded. Please don't go by the communication of the assessing officer that has been communicated to you. There is a standard operating procedures to be followed. Whenever an assessment is to be reopened, the assessing officer records the reasons, states why he has reopened the assessment, and those reasons are approved by the additional commissioner, and finally it goes to the sanctioning authority, either the joint commissioner or the principal commissioner of income tax, whoever is the appropriate authority to give. Why I am saying this is, if the reasons actually on which the commissioner has sanctioned the reopening are totally different from the reasons communicated to be by way of a letter, then the whole thing takes a totally different turn. I would advise each one of you, in respect of the old regime, even where the cases are pending before the faceless assessment scheme, even now you can make a representation, ask for the reasons and find out whether the reasons recorded as a nexus with the income escaping assessment. I would commend to your reading the judgment of the Bombay High Court in writ petition in the case of Tata Capital Finance Services. They laid down 5 parameters, Andy, for the reopened assessment under the old regime. You have to first ask for what are the reasons for reopening. A copy of the standard operating procedure where the whole form is communicated to the assessing officer, and the assessing officer in turn records the reasons and sends it to the additional commissioner. Additional commissioner also grants his approval to say yes or what. Finally, the commissioner, if it goes, if he just says yes, it's a mechanical sanction and the entire notice is liable to be challenged. Now, what happens is when 148 notices are issued, as in this case of about 90,000 cases or whatever it is, and suppose about 100 files are put before the principal commissioner for sanction, naturally he will mechanically say yes, yes, yes. So that is not the proper way. He has to go into the reasons and clearly state like this, quote, I have looked into the reasons and I am satisfied there is on the facts noted by the assessing officer, there is income escaping assessment, and therefore I record my sanction to reopen the assessment. So this is different from just saying yes. A mechanical sanction is no sanction and the notice is likely to strike down. So if the reasons are not given to you at all, you must make a specific request for giving you a copy of the reasons. Once he gives you the reasons, you have to file your objections. Then he has to dispose of the objections in a very appropriate manner. He cannot mechanically reject the objections. If you are not happy with the reaction, you have a right to file a writ petition, not by way of an appeal, but by way of a writ petition. Once the objections are considered, a final assessment is passed against which you have a right of appeal. But in this right of appeal, apart from the merits of the case, whatever is maybe on the depending on each case, you can always do this by looking into the whole issue of finding out what are the reasons recorded. Is there any nexus between the reasons recorded and income escaping assessment? If it is not there, under section 149, whenever an assessment is reopened under the old regime, he has to say that income escaping assessment is more than 1 lakh. He has to specify specifically the quantum. If the notice does not specify the quantum, now suppose the reason state like this: the assessee has sold some shares for having purchased it for 100 rupees, he has sold it for 1000 rupees. Therefore, there is income escaping assessment. Now, where is the recording reasons of what is the quantum? What are the shares that I have sold? All that must be clearly specified. A mere mechanical recording of reasons will not be correct. And if those reasons are accorded by the specified authority to give the sanction, and if the sanction is given in a mechanical manner, the whole notice fails, the whole assessment fails. Now, these are the things which, in my experience, I find before the lower authorities, the assessees do not raise these contentions, and therefore the entire reasons we can't take it at the appellate stage or at the tribunal stage, it would be too late. But since it's a faceless assessment, you can always request them without prejudice to my submissions. Please let me know what are the reasons recorded in the standard operating procedure as laid down by the Tata High Court, Bombay High Court in Tata Chemicals case. 5 parameters they have given. All those 5 parameters they have to satisfy. You ask for the reasons, give the reasons, how the sanctioned authority has given the necessary sanction, and how the objections by you, each and every objections has to be dealt with by the assessing officer while disposing of your objections to reopen. And he has also to say, if he is relying on any judgment, he has to give you a copy of the citation of the judgment so that you may respond to him. Now, these are all under the old regime. Now, let us come to the new regime. Now, under the new regime, there is a lot of notices being issued. Now, what the Supreme Court said was, whatever notices have been issued under the old, under 148 after March 21 may be treated as issued, because on 31st March 2021, the old provisions relating to 148 stand repealed. Once it is repealed, you can't issue a notice under 148 relating to the old regime after March 2021 because the section no longer exists. But then the Supreme Court said you can't brush aside like this 90,000 cases. Now, who is responsible for these 90,000 cases? It's not the SSC, it's the department which has started initiating. But yet the Supreme Court said since 90,000 cases are pending, we will have to see it out via media and interpret it. He says, although the decision, the Supreme Court having said, although the decision of the high courts are all correct, but yet in order to give it a reasonable interpretation so that the number of the high courts are not, the Supreme Court or high courts are not burdened with much more issues, we feel that all notices issued under 148 shall be treated as issued under 148A. Now see this. Now the new provision says, now they collect information. Now the first limb says, whereas it is suggested that in respect of the following transactions, there is income escaping assessment. First limb. Now in that example, let me take a case. They say in respect, we have got information to state that your total bank deposits are over 3 crores. And therefore, we have every reason to believe they should say it. What is that 3 crores? What are the issues? Now, they don't say anything. First notice under 148A will be this. Then they will throw the ball in our court now. What is all these transactions? Please let us know. So therefore, you are given time. You please respond to this notice within a period of so many days so that we may take a call whether it is to be, notice is to be issued under 148. Now, the Supreme Court stated 148A is a very welcome measure because previously you did not know why the assessment was being reopened, but it should there now the department has amended the section which clearly says that you have to give an opportunity, they will have to state the reasons and you have to respond. But this spirit of the Supreme Court, I totally appreciate. But what is now presently happening in the field is 148A notices have run amok. All sorts of notices are being issued. Now let me give you a small example. A is a gold merchant. He is handling business in gold biscuits every year. Turnover is very, very volume large. The net profit is hardly 1%, you are all aware. or even less than 1%, the volume of turnover is more. Now 148A1 notice says we have to suggest, it has come to our notice and we suggest that there are total deposits. Now he sees a bank account. I don't know from where he got the information. They've got some information where the turnover is 300 crores or 100 crores or 50 crores depending on the business, and say these turnovers are there in your bank deposits. You have not disclosed it in the return of income. Now let us see this objection. First objection: you have not disclosed this in the return of income. Now that is a total sales. It is already reflected in my profit and loss account by showing the sales account. Now here comes a notice which says that means the entire notice issued under 148A in the first limb itself is incorrect, because you are saying that I have not disclosed in the return of income. In the return of income, you are all aware the entire profit and loss account and trading account, where sales is also, it is verbatim reproduction of the profit and loss account, audited profit and loss account, where the return form itself, it captures it. Now how do you say I have not disclosed in the return of income? Because you have no time, you have not seen my return of income. You have just assumed all those deposits are unexplained deposits. Now this is what 148A1 says. Then he gives you a notice and he says this is the bank account number, these are the bank account number. Immediately see, now what has happened is they have taken that bank account and seen only the deposits. They have not seen that withdrawals where purchases are made against the sale of biscuits, gold biscuits. How do you say the entire 300 crores has escaped assessment? The volume of turnover in gold is very high. The margin of profit is low because it's a quick turnover. So therefore, what I'm trying to say, under these circumstances, the question of this first limb, you will have to give a reply like this. Please let us know the basis on which you have come to the conclusion that 300 crores is not disclosed. Kindly furnish me a copy of the bank account. He cannot say you have already got the bank account. He has already got my trading and profit loss account in the return itself, which I have captured. Why are you now telling me the 300 crores is that I have not disclosed it in the return? How have you come to the conclusion that it is not disclosed in the return? The entire, now our objection, the entire profit and loss account and trading account is captured in the return under the Excel, under all those annexures where it shows total sales, purchases, your net profit and all that. That is what is shown in the return of income. So now this is the basic flaw in the reason recorded. So therefore we have to reply to it stating, now he cannot say, if he has got that copy of the bank account, 300 crores are credit, why did he not tell us about the debit? This is nothing but intellectual dishonesty. So what we have to say is that you have not given complete, give me the complete bank account. How have you come to the conclusion that this 300 crores, what is wrong with this transaction? This 300 crores transaction is nothing but my sales. I have disclosed it in the profit loss account and balance sheet, which is captured in the return of income file. How do you say this is not disclosed? Now you come to the second limb B. After he gives you a notice, you have to give all your objections. When you are filing the objections, please read every sentence and object to it. Now in the case, in the illustration which I gave you, my objection would be, please let me know how you have come to the conclusion, or what is your record suggest that there is income escaping us. Turnover is not income. How do you say 300 crores is my undisclosed income by giving that notice? So you'll have to say 300 crores is only my turnover. My debits in the profit loss account are 290 crores. So hardly 10 crores. Against that, remove all my expenditure. My profit is only 1%, which I have disclosed. Other than this, where is the income disclosing escaping assessment? Now, what has happened is the government of the income tax department is trying to capture all your sales either from the GST returns or from your VAT returns, and making a big issue of all this quantum and saying I'm giving notices under 148A1. If you see your GST returns or VAT returns, it will definitely tally with all these figures they have taken. Blindly they take it. So your endeavor should be that this is not income escaping assessment. So therefore your notice is not correct and the entire proceedings will be dropped. Then he will say within how many days you should respond. We will have to respond to him accordingly to that notice, saying within what particular day. In fact, you can also say, see, although the word reason to believe is deleted in 148A now ending, There is no concept of reason to believe. The concept now is it's suggested that there is income. Even this suggestion should have a live link with income escaping assessment. Although the word reason to believe has been omitted, still the reasons recorded should have a reason. Like now, suppose the suggestion is that there is 300 crores turnover in the illustration I gave you, and that is to be taken. What is the question of income escaping assessment? It is my turnover. That means you have not understood the basic conceptuality. Somebody dumps all this information before the Commissioner of Income Tax, and he transfers all the information relating to Karimnagar branch, Nazamabad, Warangal to the concerned officials there, and they blindly issue notices. Now all this 148A is issued by the assessing officer. You go and talk to him in private, he will say, my hands are tied, I have been asked to issue these notices, we will issue 148. Now you suggest, you have given your reasons. There is no income escaping assessment. He has to give the entire data in relation to how this has been captured. He gives you time limit. Now the Supreme Court said, from the date of judgment of the Supreme Court, within 30 days, they have to issue all notices under 148A in respect of notices under 148. You must please make a note of the date of the Supreme Court judgment, and accordingly, within 30 days, they have to issue 148A1. Is this satisfied? Put a tick mark. Once it is satisfied within 30 days, they have issued, go to each limb of that section, read the section. If you read the section 10 times, 148A undandi, దాన్ని బ్రేక్ చేయండి sentence by sentence. If that section has got 10 lines, break it into line by line, see what it is, and file your objections accordingly. When you are filing your objections, left hand side, what are all their suggestions under 148? Right hand side, you give your rejoinder. Now the notice says in another illustration I'll give you, the total turnover of shares in according to the National Stock Trading Company from the from the Bombay Stock Exchange or National Stock Exchange, we have got information. You have traded in trace worth 100 crores. What if I trade in 100 crores? That is my total sales. What is wrong with that transaction? How is your record suggesting there is escapement of income? You have taken my turnover. Have you seen my cost of shares? Have you seen my profit disclosed? If that all these things are nobody are seeing, on the basis of that voluminous information, they are taking this necessary step. So once you get that notice, please do not dispense with it. Whatever work you have, please give priority to these statutory notices. Look into the records. You yourself will come out with so many suggestions and answers to the questions they have risen. Now let me give you another illustration. An assessee status was HUF. He made a lot of investments records. He has shown everything in his HUF investments. By mistake, his individual PAN card was given. While making the investments to the regulatory authority, he purchased a car, he gave his individual PAN card, he purchased shares, he gave an individual PAN card. But all the transactions are recorded in HUF. There is no escapement of income as such. There was a mistake in giving the wrong PAN card. So the assessee has fully explained now, what has he to do under such circumstances? There is no question of any income escaping assessment. A wrong PAN card was given by mistake, by oversight by my staff. However, these are all disclosed in my HUF returns. You give a copy of the HUF return. You give a copy of all the transactions entered into in respect of those investments. Tell them it belongs to the HUF. I have disclosed it in HUF. The person is one. He has got two status. Therefore, the question of any income escaping assessment does not arise. Please drop the proceeding. Now, after doing all this homework, the standard reply in all the responses given, because once you give a detailed reply, it is the duty of the assessing of the officer to go into each and every issue that you have raised, find out. Now, for example, in the illustration I gave you relating to sale of gold biscuits, they could have verified, drop the proceedings. Now they will not drop. Let me tell you, with profound respect for the Supreme Court decision, I would respectfully differ from the learned judges by saying, you have said 90,000 cases are going to it is going to create a great stress in the High Court. Now, mark my words, the entire 90,000 cases under 148A1 will be flooded in the courts, because 148A1 They have not understood it properly. They are treating the entire sales as income and trying to tax the income. Now let us see in how many cases they are going to drop after we give our replies. No, it is going to be mechanical. So therefore, now once he gives the notice, the standard reply, we have considered the detailed reply given by the SSE, but we find that he has not substantiated all the replies with documentary evidence. This is a common thing, but it has not been substantiated with necessary evidences. Now, what evidences can I give? I have given, now let us take my first illustration of the gold biscuits. I have said it's my total turnover. I am telling it is my trading and profit loss account. I am assessed to income tax under PAN number. My assessment has been completed. What more can I say? Still, are they not supposed to drop the proceedings? Why don't you accept that it is a mistake? Because all the loads of information they collect, they only credit side. The debit side, nobody is bothered. Because credit 68, 115 BB, 75% tax, pay 20%. You have to go in appeal, mandatory pay 20%. Is this not unjust enrichment? Who is to be blamed? Are we not accepting all this? This is the only country in the world where the taxpayers are very, very docile. They succumb to all the notices. We reply to all the notices, but ultimately nothing comes out of it. So 148A provision, there is nothing to panic, but please see most of the notices received are in relation to recorded transaction. On incomplete data, they are giving the notices. On the basis of incomplete data, they are giving the notices. Now, let me give you another illustration. In the trading and profit loss account, there are debits to various persons, professionals made and all that. Now they say you have made payment to professionals to the extent of about 75 lakhs. So therefore, you have not claimed. Now, one of the reasons recorded is even an unclaimed expenditure, a wrong expenditure can also lead to income escaping assessment. Now, where did you get this information that I have debited 75 lakhs to my profit and loss account? You know I have paid it to my professionals. I have deducted TDS. Why don't you go a bit deeper rather than issuing notice at that stage? I filed my profit loss account. The accounts are audited. I've given the case is taken for scrutiny and completed. I would have given all the details. Otherwise, the TDS section will have rope in us. You have not deducted TDS on this because we have to file the TDS and make to professionals. My TDS returns are there. Under these circumstances, how can you say that 75 lakhs is wrongly claimed? There is income escaping assessment. Now, these are some of the issues. Whatever little I could know, I've given you the illustrations. Now, the specified authority, sanctioning authority, this is very important. If in the past you have not asked for it, please don't be afraid to ask anything which is statutorily required. The officer cannot say you are thinking, how can you ask all this, or my superior has given you can, but law says the superior authority is the principal commissioner of income tax or the director of inspection, as the case may be, under the new regime of 148A. Under section 151 is supposed to give the sanctioning authority. Now, the Supreme Court has stated that all the notices issued under section 148A 148 shall be deemed to be issued under 148A, and all the provisions of 148A alone will be applicable. But what about the sanctioning authority? The sanctioning authority here is the specified authority is Principal Commissioner of Income Tax, whereas under the earlier 148 issued after March 21, already the sanctioning authority is Joint Commissioner or Principal Commissioner would have given the sanction. What happens to that? That the Supreme Court has not dilated. They have only said 148A section is substituted for 148, but 151 is not substituted in my personal view. Therefore, the sanction issued for old notices by the prescribed authority is yet to be open to challenge, saying that it has not been given by the appropriate authority. The old notices of 148 issued after March 2021, you would have already asked for reasons, you would have asked for the sanctioning authority. I don't know who gave the sanction. What happens to all that? If all that is non-est in law, then the entire notices also should be non-est in law. But that is not the case yet, because the Supreme Court has modified the whole section, come to a proper interpretation, shall be deemed to be. Once you deem it, all the fictions will follow. So therefore, my suggestion to you is don't neglect any of the notices. Somebody told me the other day, we have not responded to any of these notices. Please do not do that. A statutory notice should be done. You ask for all the information under 148A1. He says that we have got information that you have, the information with us suggests that you have obtained accommodation entries. What are these accommodation entries? Who has it told you? Kindly give me a copy of the same. You are entitled to ask for all that before filing the objections. Now the notice cannot just say that you have given that your client has obtained accommodation entries for purchases. So therefore it is to be totally gone into and stated how it has come, how my disclosure already in the return of income file has not been looked into. I am not going into cases where no return is filed and 148 is issued. That's a different aspect altogether. But here is a case where we are getting notices today is in respect of all things which is already disclosed. What is the point in saying you have made a turnover in shares of 100 crores? Yes, I have made. I have also paid. See the purchases, see the details. You don't see. Why should we give a reply for the assessing officer? Now, the faceless people give the notice, or the assessing jurisdictional officer gives the notice on the dictates of the higher authorities. They have issued 148 notices already, 90,000. The Supreme Court said treat all of them under 148A1. So they blindly issue 148. So now this is all in a pell-mell. I only hope the Federation or Chamber of Commerce makes a representation and asks them to modify the notices. Tell us clearly where is the income escaping assessment, how much is the incoming assessment, what are the transactions. Please give me a copy. Suppose he says it is already with you. No, you have relied on a specific bank account to say that there is escapement of, I want that bank account to be given under your stamp and seal so that I may go into the whole thing. This will bring out that they have only taken the credit side of my bank account, not the debit side of the bank account. Even if you prepare a what you call a peak credit statement, it will reveal that the credit and the credit will not exceed the debits at all. Sometimes the debits may exceed the credit may increase the debits by only marginally, which is my profit. So therefore, what is income escaping assessment should be related to the profit. Now they are only complicated by the new regime. You are entitled even under 148A. Please give me a copy of the specified authorities sanctioning for issuing this notice. Because the 148A notice is to be issued by the concerned specified authority. Then once he gives all this information, he will say, I am not satisfied and reopen under 148. Once he rejects your explanation and issues a 148, then at that point of time, you can file a writ petition saying that all these things. But what happens in the writ petition is the High Court will say, yes, we totally agree with you. All this has been done wrongly. We will give you another opportunity. Go back. We'll direct them to give all the information. So nothing is going to come out of the writ except that temporarily the proceedings are stalled. Because nobody in the writ is going to quash those notices. They would only say, remind you, all over the country, 90,000 148A will have to be issued, substituting it for 148 notices issued under. That is the mandate of the Supreme Court. Now the department is in a quandary. They have to issue all those notices again. So they're just issuing the notice left, right, and center. So therefore, there is nothing to be panicked about it. Each notice has to be taken into its cognizance. If there is really any escapement, then there is a question to worry. What is that escapement? What are those transactions? If you have not, but so far, whatever notices have been issued under 148A, already so many, about 10,000 notices has come in Hyderabad city itself, where the entire questions or material they have got in their possession is already emanating from the profit loss account and balance sheet file. But unfortunately, the whole process is going on. Please ask, please don't shy away, because no longer you are facing an assessing officer with whom you have to go day in and day out. Once the assessing officer collects all this information and issues a notice under 148, you have to file the return and goes back to the faceless center. So you have nothing to fear. Ask for everything under the sun. The assessing officer will say, Baba, you are right. Whatever you give, I will take and I will forward it. That's all he will say. Now they have got instructions to issue the notices, issue 148, reject the submissions. You will see in every case. Now, there is a recent decision of the Delhi High Court. I think I shared it with Anand or somebody about it, where they have said, you read the judgment and your replies will be very easy. I have given it to the branch, I think Mr. Anjanelu and also to Mr. Anand. Please circulate the judgment amongst all of you. Keep that in mind. Don't cut and paste blindly, because you will be, if you do it cut and paste blindly, all those decisions of the Delhi cases will come which will not be correct. Please take care and caution. Download the judgment,
Sure, sir.
erase the appropriate paragraph, substitute your issues. Otherwise,
Thanks.
cutting it very, very sorry. This cut and paste business is very, very bad. You must be careful, twice or thrice verify. As it is, A's facts comes into B, B's facts goes into A, and A's facts goes into C and D. With the result, it is glaring that you have just, as the officers don't apply their mind, you have not applied your mind and blindly given the results. But the Delhi High Court judgment in the DEVIDASS case of Delhi High Court is a very, very leading judgment. I want each one of you to thoroughly read the judgment, form small groups, discuss the judgment thoroughly. How beautifully the assessee has replied there. Left hand side, he has taken all the issues. Right hand side, he has given the reply. See, what is wrong with this transaction? I purchased shares. What is wrong? I have sold, my bank account has got credits. What is wrong? What we are concerned here with, what is you are trying to suggest? There is income escaping assessment by these transactions. I bought a car value shown, it is shown in the books. One thing which they should try to understand is, notices should not be issued just for the sake of notices. There should be information. Unfortunately, today, the notices have been asked to be issued left, right, and center without anything. The officer himself is helpless in the matter. So are the other higher authorities. Finally, the faceless assessment has to take over. Mind you, there is going to be a lot of decisions on this in the coming months and years to come, which will be basically assessment here. Now, one saving grace after the Supreme Court decision is, the finance ministry has come with a missive, but they should make an amendment to the act, because any missive from the finance ministry is not law. They should amend the law to say, they have said, for the assessment years 13-14, 14-15, 15-16, no notices under 148 will be issued where the income escaping assessment is less than 50 lakhs. So this has to be kept in mind. There is, but the act also has to be amended to say it is this privilege, is this sort of a concession is available. So small assessees, they said, we have spared, but whether it is small or big, now we are concerned with the draconian law of 148A1. So this you'll have to keep in mind. It is not difficult, Andy. What you'll have to do is, each para you read, ask him for the information in order for you to give a prompt reply. Once you give the reply, he is going to dismiss you. Don't think he's going to consider anything and drop the 148A proceedings. I have not seen any order where notices is issued on 148A and 148 proceedings have been dropped. One section which I would like you to read is section 152 of the Income Tax Act, which nobody applies. 152 of the Income Tax Act says, where the assessee has filed all the details and also given these information, and he has not filed any appeal or anything, a matter is concluded. And if a notice has been issued, if he is able to demonstrate that even if you add, my income will come to the same base as originally declared, 152 each and every line you read, and also invoke 152 wherever it is necessary. Now let me come to the other aspects of how the sanction of the specified authority is important. It's my personal opinion, not necessarily right. Every sanction given by the specified authority is a mechanical one now, because there are a plethora of notices. If you are going to keep 100 files before the principal specified authority, law of diminishing marginal utility you have seen, one or two he may record, all the others he will just go on saying yes, yes, yes. If the specific is no application of mind, if there is no application of mind by the assessing officer to the reply submitted by you, the entire proceedings get vitiated. But that does not mean the entire proceedings will be struck down. The courts will definitely struck down. The Calcutta High Court, Meghalaya High Court, Delhi High Court have all struck down 148A notices on the ground. No reasonable opportunity has been given, or the entire issues have not been considered. Especially the Delhi High Court decision is a very, very of paramount importance. And all these decisions, if you read, you will just feel that you have come out of the rigors of 148A1. So, gentlemen, I have touched upon some of the basic issues. I have always believed in answering questions rather than imposing my views. My views may be really right or wrong, but I will not be in a position, I don't think I will address myself to the issues in relation to the queries raised by the members. If you people have any queries, please raise it. I am prepared to clarify each one of them. The question is open, and again, I'll come back to some of the issues. What exactly is your problem in the new provisions? You please tell me.
Sir, namaste.
Tell me.
Sir, regarding notices issued for 2013, 14, 14, 15 and 15, 16, that is below 50 lakhs, what should we do? Whether to respond or not?
Take the extract of the finance ministry's dictates which they have given,
Okay.
and just enclose it to the notice and say by virtue of these, since the income is less than 50 lakhs, the proceedings have to be dropped.
But there are a few parameters, sir. Actually, that the case is selected for deposits in bank, but as per the bank statement, it is only 40 lakhs. But as per that CIB one or something, it is showing around 60 lakhs, sir.
So ask them to give the breakup for that 60 lakhs, reconcile it. If it is falls within your 40 lakhs, your case is done.
Oh.
See, now suppose they say 60 lakhs.
Okay.
They must have taken the gross sales or gross amounts without taking some debits. We don't know. I can't hazard a guess.
Yeah,
but entry will let now, as you prepare a bank reconciliation statement, you prepare a reconciliation statement. Total amount as per CBI's information 60. Total amount as per books of accounts 40. Difference 20. This is on account of the following reasons.
So anyhow, we have to respond.
You have to, no, you can't just say 13, 14 income escaped and so on. So if they have given you some specific information of 60 lakhs, suppose the information itself only says 40 lakhs or 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs, even that you have to give a reply to everything, Andy. Without giving a reply, you please do not do anything. Don't neglect any statutory notice. Not only this, any income tax notice should be complied with. 148 is issued, file the return. Don't say, why should we file the return? It is all on gross sales or all that is not. Now that stage will come only after your objections are rejected. They will say your objections are rejected and we are issuing a notice under 148. Once you give the 148, the whole file goes back to the faceless center. అది తర్వాత మన అదృష్టం ఎవరి దగ్గర పోతుందో మనకే తెలియదు. సో అది ఆయన నాలెడ్జ్ ఎంత ఉందో దాన్ని బట్టి ఉంది. So if he is very well equipped with the necessary knowledge of the basic things, then what you can say is a different. Now, what I would like to share with you, any other questions also, no problem. High Court, Calcutta High Court has considered it, but they have not quashed the notices. They only said to consider all the replies given and come to a conclusion. Then so also, the Meghalaya High Court has also come to the same conclusion. And this decision of Delhi High Court, which I was reflecting, is Divya Capital 1 Private Limited. I have shared this decision. Just go to Google and type this name. You'll get the complete judgment copy. I would commend to you, all of you, to read this judgment, how they have given, what the assessee did. 148AD para 2. You have come on this stage provided. It captures the list of transactions, such as purchase and sale of shares. Now, this is what. Therefore, it says you have invested the total investment in the Delhi High Court judgment was 10 crores 7 lakhs and odd. I'm sorry, it was 100 lakhs 70 crores 58 lakhs and odd, and the total gross value of transactions has been taken. What did the assessee say? There is no allegation what is wrong with this transaction. They have never said that. They only said your turnover is more than 100 crores. So what did the assessee reply? There is no allegation as to what is wrong with such transaction. So it said the petitioner is a member, is regularly investing in shares, his only source of income is shares, his volume of trading is more, tax audit reports have been filed, and all these are accounted for in the profit loss account, he said clearly in the reply. Now, next, you have made purchases to the tune of 1 crore 30 lakhs and odd and whatever it is. Now, this has been taken from the GST returns. Can you take the GST returns value and give a notice under 148 AD? What I told you, captured from GST returns. Now, the next objection raised is you have got certain receipts and payments to the tune of 20 crores 90 lakhs on account of payment to contractors, professionals, payment of salary interest. Now, what is all this? This is all disclosed in the profit loss account. Are all my payment to contractors, professionals, payment of salary, interest, income? How can you make this as a notice under 148 TUT to say there is escapement of income? So what they replied, these details have what they did, you have culled out all these TDS from my TDS returns, and there is no allegation or comment on what is wrong with these transactions. In any case, they are carried out in the ordinary course of the business and are reflected in my P&L account. Next, you have made payment of salary of 1 crore 5 lakh 17,000 to your employees. What is there? I have paid payment. I have paid salaries. It is debited in P&L. So what did the assessee reply? Now see the questions they are posing. These details have been culled out again from TDS returns. There is no allegation or comment. What is wrong with these transactions? So then, in any case, these are carried out in the ordinary course of business, debited to P&L. Last objection was, it has been stated that the assessees made fictitious purchases of 19 lakhs 38,000 with Messrs. Vagabond Tradex Private Limited. Now here I would like to spend some time. Now you are making an allegation that there are fictitious purchases. Kindly give me the details of these fictitious purchases. From who, how, from where did you get this information? Who is this person who has given you the information? Who is the seller of this to me as purchase? Kindly give me him and produce him for cross-examination. You must produce him. How have you come that I have made purchases with Vagabond Tradex Private Limited or whatever the name is? You must give me all those information. That is why the High Courts have said you will have to give all the reply to all the objections verbatim. Then what was the reply? This is merely an allegation that I have made. No information is given to indicate the basis for such allegation. The observations are without any basis. It is vehemently denied that no transactions was carried out with the said entity. Now, these are the objections filed. How did they deal with all these objections? Just in one line. The assessee has not given the entire amount of how these explanations has been tendered with evidences, and therefore they are rejected. Then the assessee filed a writ petition under 148A under to the notice of 148 and also the other evidences which they have given. The High Court was aghast to say this is not the intention of the matter. This is not the intention of the legislature. You have to issue a so cause notice prior to issue of reassessment is only to safeguard the interest of the assessee so that you may know what exactly is the position. If that is not so, then what is the position of these 148? That is why this is the only writ petition with examples. So you all of you should go to it and you will definitely enrich with this. I am sure your entire thoughts on the subject itself will be a bit reduced. Then came the Punjab and Haryana High Court. They gave only 7 days time to reply. They said it violates the principles of natural justice and therefore they said the matter is sent back. Even in Delhi High Court, they did not quash the reopening or the notices. They just said, we are sending it back. You are requested to consider each of the replies given and therefore the matter is back. They will have to consider. And once I give the reply and they are satisfied, they have to drop the proceedings. In how many cases they will be dropping, we will have to wait and watch. So the Finance Ministry's directive is not paramount. You just cannot lie low with folded hands. My income is below 50 lakhs. You have to demonstrate because the notices have been issued without any application of mine that can only be challenged by way of a writ. Any other questions, please let me know. under any of these sections. Now, broadly, what exactly 148A broadly says is, first thing is, what has to be emphasized is the reassessment scheme under 148A provision, which was brought into the statute, was just to reduce the rigors of the assessee's apprehensions. Previously, you used to directly issue a notice. Now, at least you have to give me a prior notice. This is a prior opportunity. But that opportunity cannot be vitiated by whimsical reasons. That is what is happening. Then what does it is reduce litigation and to promote ease of doing business. But what is now happening? It is not so. Then that notice which is issued was very cryptic. It says very cryptic. You have paid salaries. So what if I paid salaries? It's not cryptic. What are the reasons? Why would you say this has led to escapement of income? Merely because you are suggesting information does not mean you cannot give me the reasons how there is escapement of income. The whole object of 148A1 is to see if the reasons recorded are not proper and there is no escapement of it, you drop the proceedings. So now what has happened? They are not dropping, they are giving a cryptic reply, and in fact, then what is the way? There should be an effective opportunity for file a reply. You must give sufficient time, 7 days to 30 days. Everybody has suggested 30 days. We are seeing in your faceless. Give within 3 days before 11.59 of 31st December. What is this 11.59 deadline of the day? What is the rationale in giving such timings and reasons? You must give sufficient time. You should give me a draft reply, show cause notice before completion of the assessment. So therefore, rehearse that. 148C says, what does 148C says? Whatever the reply the assessee gives, you must dispose of line by line, not in general method. What did this reasons given by the authority in the case before the Delhi High Court? None of the replies given are satisfactory and are with any supporting evidences. What evidences should I give if my turnover is 300 crores? Tell me, see my P&L account, see my trading account. More than that, what can I do? The whole process of issuing a notice under 148A, which was a lauded objective, has been totally lost now by making all sorts of allegations which does not lead to any escapement of it. But unfortunately, the courts are not striking down the notices. In fact, the entire order of the Supreme Court has saved the department from proceedings issued under 148 to completion. But it has added the burden of issuing notices, fresh notices under 148A. But still, what is looming large is whether the sanction given, which is not being stated by the Supreme Court, what they said is all the provisions of Section 148 will be substituted with 148A. They never spoke about 151 in the new regime. So whether, what manner, now these are all issues which you and I cannot take up. Somebody has to take it up to the higher authorities, because none of our assessees will be willing to go on all these issues. But these are all legal issues. Only the law will, as it develops, it will tell us. So any other questions, gentlemen? I have given you all these decisions to ponder. Please discuss it in 5 groups amongst yourself anytime, daily for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Just read Section 148A1 first. Don't rush it. Next day, go to 148B. Next day, don't read all the 4 together. Break it. Read it. I'll give you one small suggestion. If you want to read this 148A1 to hear all the 4 limbs, get up at 4 o'clock and read it. Because 4 to 6 reading is equal to 10 times reading during the day. Because the whole world is asleep, you are awake, your memory is in very, very bright and sharp, you can solve it. There's absolutely no problem. If there is any other questions, please do not hesitate to ask. Don't worry.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, please tell me.
Yeah, assessee received a dividend from a premier mutual fund company, and he has taken this dividend received from the mutual fund company as exempted income. subsequently, department has conducted a raid on that mutual fund company and came to know that mutual fund company is not following the proper accounting method. Accordingly, since you have received the dividend from that particular mutual fund company, why can't your income be escaped under 148?
Now, has this notice under 148 been issued before March 2021 or afterwards?
Yes, sir. It has been received before March 2021. Yes, sir.
That means it is under the old regime.
Yes.
If it is been received
No,
under
no. This is received under before 2022 March, sir.
It is received before 22 March.
Yes,
so
sir.
if it is before 22 March, it will be under the new regime because by Finance Act of 2021 only 148A came.
Yes,
so then, and even if it is under the new regime, you are entitled to, first your reply should be, if the mutual fund is not carrying on in account with the account, that company should be penalized. Why should I be penalized?
Okay.
As far as the dividend is concerned, I have received the dividend. Now you will have to see whether it is a dividend received by equity funded scheme or debt oriented funds.
Yeah, it's an
equity funded scheme. There is absolutely no problem. It is exempt under 1038. Reproduce the section. All this I am satisfied. If the other company has not followed the necessary mandate, I cannot be penalized. And till today, that refund has not been recalled by the mutual fund, saying that it has wrongly declared it.
Okay.
That should be your line of reply. There should not be any problem at all as far as this particular issue is concerned.
Okay.
But still, let me tell you, they will not reply. The reply will be only one line. No necessary evidence has been tendered. Since the mutual fund has not followed the principles, the dividend is not. Then what is the character of that receipt? Okay. If it is not dividend. If the mutual fund has held a notice for meeting approved by the shareholders under the Companies Act, that mandate is binding. It is not as if the dividend they gave it across. They held it a general body meeting. Dividends were disclosed in accordance with the provisions of the Companies Act. Or under the guidance of SEBI guidance rules if it is mutual fund. So therefore, they cannot be heard to say that it is not exempt.
And the investment was also made just a few days before the declaration of the dividend. In any way, it is not. In any way, it is not related to this particular notice, right?
Yes, if it is just before few days of dividend, it falls in the other assessment year. How does it come in this assessment year? If the dividend is the date of declaration of dividend is the date of the assessment. So whenever the date of declaration of dividend is there, suppose the meeting has been held before March, then it will fall in that year. Whichever assessment it falls, as long as the investment is explained, where is the question of it being escapement of income?
Okay.
I'm not in a position to understand the whole thing. But our hands are tied because we fear what the officer will say. We have day now, the client will come and say day in and out, we have to see him. No longer. Now it is faceless. So therefore you are at liberty to say that whole notice is wrong, bad in law. Nothing to fear.
Okay.
Only thing is profound respects you say. Don't use harsh words. If you see the replies from the north to faceless assessments, it is very harsh. I have seen 2 or 3 replies given by them which has come out in the portal. They have said, you will be responsible if you make any additions ignoring my submissions of the entire demand. All such words. As anybody from, I have not seen anybody from the southern part of the country using such harsh words. We have only responded by saying, with profound respects for your views, we respectfully differ. This income is not taxable.
Okay. Thank you. Right.
But please read not only this section, any section in the IT Act. 4 or 5 people join together, read. Each one of you will have one view. The law will develop. Every day you read 5 sections. I don't want you to tax. Saturday and Sunday you take off. At least now the entire concept of income tax assessment, search assessment, survey is becoming complicated. Penalties are severe. Nothing can be done if incriminating material is found. The penalty, the interest will outstrip the whole total tax itself. That has to be educated to all the clients. Any further questions? Do not hesitate to ask.
Dear members, any queries, you are welcome to post the queries. The SAR is ready to answer all your queries.
See the illustrations in the Delhi High Court and match it with the queries which they have raised in your case. Adopt the same pattern of reply as suitable to the queries raised in your particular case. It's a very good judgment. At least after this judgment comes, they should be very cautious in sending notices. They have no time, they can't help it. How do you expect officers all over the country to issue 90,000 notices under 148A? They have issued
sir.
notices under the old regime. All should be treated under the new regime. At least they could have said more simpler to the government by saying, shall be the same notices shall be deemed to issued under 148. They cannot say that because the amendment has come by way of a statutory amendment. So those conditions have to be satisfied. Now the department is grappling with the situation of issuing notices. They are also helpless.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
I'll ask. There is a notice under 148A for the assessment year 15-16, and the response has also been provided for. But it, as you said, like a straight line answer has been received stating that it is not substantiating with the query raised. And the assessee was not even required to file the return of income, as the interest income is also very less. It's all about the time deposits. So now they are asking.
Once 148 is issued, you have to file a reply. You have to file a return. See,
Yes, sir. Reply has been filed, but it's not considered.
No, the reply has not been considered. They have issued 148.
Yes.
So 148, you have to file a return of income.
Okay.
And then go by the due process of law and challenge the 148A1 reply that it is not correct in your submissions to 148. Now, once 148 is issued, you have got two options. File a writ petition on the 148A notice issued under 148, and the reasons not have been considered. There is a writ petition. They to come back to them to reconsider the whole thing. That is the only way out for you. Otherwise, you have to go through the normal process of law, file a return in response to 148, and say the interest has been already disclosed. You filed the return earlier to issue of notice under 148. Now, present new regime.
Sir?
Have you filed a return of income showing the interest in the old, prior to the issue of these notices? Have you filed a return of income?
No.
Why have you not filed if it is?
It's only 80,000 of interest income.
So that means below taxable limit.
Below taxable limit.
No, then no problem. What you say is correct. Then you can tell them that it was not.
It was also mentioned in the reply, but they haven't.
Yeah. See what happens now. I don't know. Please don't quote me.
Yeah,
so many notices are being issued. The assessing officer may say, "Arey, 15 cases, my inspector, you please look into it." Now, what about your penalty notices? They are all politely put up by the concerned clerks, and the ITO blindly signs. Let me also tell you, any notice that has come under 270A, either for misreporting or underreporting, the charge should be specific whether it is underreporting or misreporting. If they do not spell out the note, the exact charge, the notice under 270A is invalid. So they have to specifically tell you the charge. So in your case relating to interest, you have a strong case, but if you do not want to go through the rigors, file a writ petition, you will succeed. But otherwise, the normal channel, 48 lakhs, I don't know what is that 148A1, what has he stated? Entire time deposits he has stated is income escaping assessment or not, I do not know. But if it has to be restricted only to the extent of the interest income. And if that is below 50 lakhs, the missive of the finance ministry will apply. But see, if you go to the court will say the missive of the finance ministry will not apply, because prior to the Supreme Court decision, the Allahabad High Court said any notification issued by the central government or the finance ministry is not binding unless the law is amended. So here also, whatever the finance ministry has stated, let us hope and say. So there is a missive from the finance ministry to bring down the rigors of law that 15-16, since the income escaping assessment is less than 50 lakhs, no notice should be issued. On that ground itself, the notice should be quashed. You can file a writ petition, but I don't know how the capacity of the client will be to go through the rigmarole of a writ petition. An advocate has to be appointed and he has to file it. That's the whole thing. Otherwise, the due process of law has to be followed.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, assessee wants to file assessment year 2021 return now. And there is no 148 issued. I just want to ask your suggestion. Is it advisable to file the return
No,
under?
the portal won't take it. No, portal itself won't take it.
No. You can file under condonation under 119.
199, you have to write to the chief commissioner to condone the delay. Once he
Okay.
condones the delay, you can file the return. But unless the delay is condoned, the portal as such will not accept. Under 119, the powers have been relegated to the principal commissioner. You can make an application under 119 to the principal commissioner. It has happened. Kindly condone the delay and let me file the return of income.
Is it advisable to go that way, or is it better to file the updated return?
No,
as per the new scheme.
If the new scheme, if you fall under the updated scheme, you can file under the updated scheme. But updated scheme, first you should have filed a return if there is any omission, or if you have not filed a return. If you fall under those parameters of the updated return, you can still do the updated return.
Okay, if at all we are falling under updated scheme, better to follow this scheme, or better to write
follow the updated scheme.
Okay, right, sir. Thank you.
Sir, updated return can be given only in case the previously return is filed, right?
Yes,
in case of return is not filed.
No, if the return of income is not filed, but in certain cases they have said even in cases where the return has been filed, if there is any omission, correction, it can be done. But where no return of income is filed, the question may take a different turn. I stand corrected to that extent because an updated return can be filed only if you have filed a return of income. The queries who raised the question previously will have to go under the route of 119, not under 2021. I stand corrected rightly by the new querist. But 119, they have to condone. See, whatever reasons you give, they condone the delay, there is absolutely no problem. Otherwise, you have to wait for 148 and file the return. Because even 148, since you have not filed the return, they may give you a notice that you have not filed the return. Because one of the conditions under that is a return notice can be issued even when no return of income is filed, provided you have taxable income. Any other questions, gentlemen?
Sir.
Hello, good evening, sir.
1 minute. Hello.
Yes, please tell me.
Yes, sir. My question is regarding the updated return. Basically, one of my client has missed entered a TAN number wrongly. So while processing the return, it wasn't taken the TDS amount. So they received a refund half amount only.
Now, if you have given a wrong TAN number,
yeah,
there is no question of any. You must correct that TAN number first. Once it is corrected, it will come in the portrait and you will get everything. You should take steps to correct the TAN, rectify the TAN number through any of the portals which are taking care of TDS. There are so many entities who do this work. You go to them, correct the TAN number. Then the corrected TAN number will come in 26 days and you will get the refund. Don't go into any other complications. Here it's just a mistake of giving a wrong TAN number. Otherwise, all the other material are correct.
It was reflected in my 26 AS, sir. But while filing the return, we entered a wrong TAN number.
Then file a rectification application 154. It's an apparent from record mistake. So 26 AS also it is reflected. And what is the problem? They are supposed to give you credit as per 26 AS, not what you say it in the return of income.
Okay.
Even if in the return of income, as against the TDS claim of 10,000, you claimed only 5,000 in the return. Still, as per 26 AS, you have to be given credit for 10, provided you have shown the gross receipts in the return of income.
Okay.
See, whatever you have missed relating to the TDS, if you have not shown the income, you will not get credit for TDS. Corresponding income relating to TDS should be disclosed. Otherwise, it's only a TAN mistake. It can be rectified. No problem. They cannot deny all these things. But only care and caution should be taken whether the facts stated by you are correct.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Yes, tell me.
Yes, one of my client received notice under Section 148 for not filing the return of income.
148 or old regime, new regime?
New regime, sir.
That is 148A then.
148A. And we have filed the return of income with the
No, why should you don't have to
respective.
file return of income at that stage, because you have already filed the return of income in the normal procedure.
No, sir. We have actually, client has not filed the return of income.
Okay, then in response to that notice, you would have said that, then you would have issued 148. In response to 148, you have to issue.
Yeah, we have filed the return of income. Now, how much time will the department have to reply back to us, sir?
No, once you have filed the return of income, 148 has come. They have said you have not filed the return. You have filed your objections. Have you filed your objections?
Yes.
And then have they considered the objections?
No.
Not, you don't know yet. So you then that means 148 is not issued at this stage. So once they reject your reply under 148A, they will say you have not considered. Therefore, we are issuing notice under 148. Then 148 will be issued. Then only you have to file the return.
I have received a notice under section 148 and 148A, sir. I have filed before that. I have filed my objections.
Yes.
They have rejected that, and they have issued a notice for.
They have rejected the notice and issued a notice under 148 because you have not filed the return of income at all.
Yes.
Isn't it? So now the due process of law will have to take place. Why you have not filed the return, assessment will be done, and all the other consequences.
Yes, sir. The consequences will be, they might be converting the case into the scrutiny, or they might be dropping it.
Once a 148 is issued, 100% scrutiny.
100% scrutiny is coming.
Because they would like to know what is the return you have not filed.
Sir,
why have you not filed it?
Sir, by the God grace or chance, if the notice has been dropped, whether the department will still have the chance to reopen it again?
No. Now, by God's grace, no. By your attempts, it should be first. Then God's grace will come. God can't go into 148 and so what I'm saying is, by your submissions, if the proceedings are dropped, they cannot again go into any reopen the whole thing.
Yes, sir. Sure. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Sir, one question in chat box, sir.
Tell me, read it out, please. I don't know what is this chat box in that. I belong
Sir,
to the old school only.
Sure, sir. In one case, cash deposit is 26 lakhs, and from that case, from that cash deposit on same day, assessee made 26 lakhs FD. In this case, how income escaped?
Yes, now
52 lakhs received.
Your query is 26 lakhs were deposited in the bank.
Yes, sir.
So
and same day
you took a fixed deposit.
Yes, sir.
That means I take it there are only credits, no debits in the bank.
Yes, sir.
So the only debit is 26 lakhs.
Only, sir.
So what happens? From where did you get this 26 lakhs has to be proved. If you don't prove the source for fixed deposits, that will be added under 68. How did you deposit this much of cash? You'll have to say, I did some business or something, whatever it is. How when you got credits of 26 lakhs, that means 26 lakhs is your income. You made a fixed deposit. Pay tax on my 26 lakhs. Since you have not done it under 115 BB, section 68 will be levied. It's not 30%, it will be under 60% or 75%, whatever it is.
Okay, sir.
So you'll have to do some tangible. See, no cash deposits above 10 lakhs should be made in the bank. If you make more than 10 lakhs, the bankers have to go under section 285, have to inform the department. So that is how the information comes.
Okay, sir.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Yes.
Sir, in that case, the case regarding assessment year 1560, sir, the 26 lakhs case is that one. That is relating to assessment year 1516.
No, even if it is relating to 1516, it will not be reopened when you have not given any explanation for that. You cannot get away with the law by saying my income escaping assessment is 26 lakhs. The income escaping assessment may come only in respect of one, you filed a return, there is income assessment, or you have not filed. Even if you have not filed the return at all, it amounts to concealment under 271(1)(c) explanation 4. Okay, so therefore, you can't take a shelter that it is 26 lakhs only, therefore don't reopen. That cannot come. That 26 lakhs reopening up to 50 lakhs is only for genuine cases where you have already disclosed some income and the income escaping assessment is so much. If you have not disclosed this 26 lakhs at all, I don't think you can take shelter.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Sir, my query is regarding I have received 148D order.
148A you have received?
148A I have received and given the reply they have not considered.
Yeah.
And again 148A order along with 148 notice also they have issued.
So once they see the 148, now you have got two remedies before you. If you feel your case is strong and they have not considered the reply properly, you can file a writ petition where the court will again remand it back following so many high court decisions. One, you're back to square one. Two, file a return in response to 148 and say there is no escape and go by the normal route. Explanation, assessment under 143.3 read with 147, filing appeal, etc. If you want
Now,
another
will the
chance, go
scrutiny
to the
be on the basis of the, if I
Pardon?
file a return and go for scrutiny proceedings, sir,
No,
will it
don't-
be
don't
restricted
file-
to this
don't
time deposit?
Don't file a return in response to 148. At that stage itself, you file a writ petition if you want to go to the writ route. Suppose in the writ they say the entire notices are quite, you may kindly give him an opportunity and consider the reply, it may take a different turn. Once you file a return, I don't know how the judge will take a view. You filed a return of income. Why are you knocking the doors of the High Court? Go through the normal process. He may say that.
If the client won't accept for writ, sir.
Then you have to file the return.
Yeah, I agree, sir. But the client is not accepting for writ.
Yeah, now see.
Now my query is regarding the scrutiny proceeding.
Scrutiny
Will
proceeding.
it be on the issue for which 148 was issued?
No. Now there is an amendment.
Only that particular issue or entire thing?
No. The amended law has been amended to say not only that issue, but all other issues can be looked into. Previously, the law up to 2021 was different. From 22, Finance Act has amended to say once an assessment is reopened, the whole assessment is thrown open.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
My only question now is a supplementary to you. If the whole assessment is open, can I make certain deductions which I have not made deductions at all? Then the law says the reopening is for the benefit of the revenue. You can't make any fresh claims. On one hand, they say the whole assessment is thrown open, but that we have to challenge all this now fresh. This fresh round of litigation.
Deductions, as in even an agricultural land sold, which was not shown earlier, even such deductions I cannot claim, sir, or only business or certified.
Once you are sure it is agricultural land, it is in accordance with Section 214 of the IT Act, 2 open bracket 14 of the IT Act defines what a capital asset is. If you satisfy all the tests of agricultural land, it is exempt income. If you are satisfied, you have tilled the land, you have sown seeds, you have cultivated the land, then it may come as agricultural land. And if it is exempt under 10, there is no obligation to sow it. But every sub-registrar, if the value of the land sold is more than 30 lakhs, he has to inform the income tax department. Once this information goes to the department, he may issue a notice under 148 to check whether it is really agricultural land or non-agricultural land under the garb of agriculture. That is the position. You will have to weigh the pros and cons, seeing the facts of each case.
Even Section 54 deductions,
see,
they also won't be allowed.
No. See, once it is treated as non-agricultural land, then you are entitled to provide it. Then 54F will come, provided you do not have any house or any such thing. You have invested it in another house within the period of 3 years. You are entitled to that. But on one hand, an assessee says it is all agriculture income and totally exempt. Why will he take the precaution of availing the benefits of 54F? He is really an intelligent assessee if he takes that ground. Because on one hand, he says it is agriculture income by way of say, that means he's not sure it is agriculture. So suppose I fail, I want this, then he is entitled to it. But he must file a return of income showing the capital gains and see, all that investments will arise only if you file the return. You in filing the return, you should say it is agricultural income. And also you, by way of caution, you have claimed like this, agricultural income is nil. If this plea of mine is not objected, I will investigate in a residential property to satisfy the conditions of 54. No harm.
Thank you, sir.
There's no use thanking me unless all of you read all those judgments thoroughly and rise to the occasion of suitable replies being filed. Go through the judgments. The time of now, you are not, we not looking into the judgments, it's over. It is a high time now we look into the concerned judgments and we apply ourselves to know the position in law. Otherwise, it will be very difficult in faceless scheme. In a faceless scheme, my case can go to Bihar or it can go to any Rajkot or anywhere in India. I don't know what that concerned officer is. Does he know the law? He does not know the law. We are totally at his mercy rather than the statutory provisions and relief. Let me tell you. In so many faceless assessments, it has come across. He has got 10 lakhs income. He pledged his immovable property and took a loan from some people, private people, and said he filed all the confirmation letters. The assessing officer in the faceless scheme says, if your income is 10 lakhs, how can you go and borrow 1 crore by pledging property? Therefore, he added the word. He did not go into the genuineness, creditworthiness, or the identity of the parties. Now, this is faceless. If I say anything, I'll be branded as a critic. That's why I don't talk much about this faceless. So, any other questions, gentlemen? You go through the sections, read them thoroughly. Again, after 1 month, upfront notices will be coming and going. We can review the situation. In the meantime, I think you'll be very, very better equipped after reading those decisions, and you yourself will come to a conclusion that we are now well off with this interpretation. Follow this section, go by word, and by word. It's absolutely no problem. Drafting skills have to be improved. You have to write. Doesn't matter if your language is not that. Don't write lengthy sentences. Break it into sentences. Points 1, 2, 3, 4. Simpler the better.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Members, anybody have any query or?
They'll come back after reading the judgments. Let us see.
Yeah, definitely, sir. Thank you. Yeah, my sir, are you there?
Yes. Thank you, gentlemen. There's no need for any formal vote of thanks. Thank you very much for patient hearing. It was my privilege to be associated with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. My sir, please, you are mentioned or closing remarks. And sir, excuse me, sir, this is protocol we need to follow. Please excuse for this thing. Just some 5 minutes formality.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, my sir, my request your closing remarks, please.
Sir, DEVIDASS, sir, with your permission, I would like to take your name given by you. May I take?
Yes, please take. No problem.
Yeah. Sir, ఏమన్నారంటే ఫస్ట్ ఏమన్నారు sentence by sentence చదవమన్నారు. Again, sir said word by word. But now what I say, we may need to read a letter by letter. For example, say in our invitation letter, sir name is DEVIDASS, but it's a DEVIDASS. So even if one letter also makes a difference, really.
I totally agree. Yes.
Yeah, one letter also makes a difference. In the invitation letter, it's a DEVIDASS. So I adopted, sir, strictly I'm following your suggestion. I started reading letter by letter. This is the example how I
you are right.
Suggestion.
As you have read my name, read the section words thoroughly.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
My name doesn't make much difference whether it is DEVIDASS or DEVIDASS, but the statutory words make a lot of difference.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Mahesh sir. Thank you very much. Now I request CA Ramesh Santosh Garu to give vote of thanks.
Good evening. Is my
Santosh?
I'm audible, sir?
Yeah, you are well audible.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Karimnagar branch, managing committee members, respected, I would also extend sincere to today's speaker, DEVIDASS Garu. Sir, the way you turned the today's CP very practical, sir. The way you answered our questions with a great patience. It is our pleasure to take knowledge from you, sir. And we hope all the knowledge we gain today, it will be applied in our practical situations also. That's for sure. And the way you asked us you reminded us about these judgments. We will take it in a positive note, and we will definitely go through all the judgments, sir. And one more thing, participating in events like this and listening from you is really, it will motivate us a lot, sir. Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks for accepting the invitation. Event a great success. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Santosh Garu. And we will close this session by playing a national anthem. Please be patient for that 1 more minute.
पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उज्जल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you all the members for joining the session, virtual session. So thank you all.
Thank you all.
Raghu? Hello, Raghu. Can you close the Zoom ni?
క్లోజ్ చేయండి